Right, Tenebre, directed by Dario Argento.
Well done, yeah, Dario Argento. Which we actually heard before we started the show. A first look image of his brand new film. I think it's first film in like 10 years.
Wow.
Got released. So that'll be interesting. I don't know anything about the film. It was just an image.
Is it Italian?
It looks very much Italian.
Molto bene.
Yes. Whatever you just said.
I only know Italian from Luca.
I haven't seen it yet.
Blasphemy.
I know.
Right, I'm going to let you take the helm on this one because you
Okay.
clearly know more about this film than I do.
Okay. So, Tenebre starts basically as, we'll say, we open with a serial killer reading this brand new paperback airplane trash novel. Basically, it's a sleazy paperback murder novel by Peter Neal. And soon after, murders start to happen in which this book, Tenebre, starts to pop up as well. And Peter Neal goes to Rome for interviews, junkets basically, and his name starts popping up in all these different murder scenes because of this book and how it's all connected. And what's happening? Who's
going on?
Who's killing? Is it someone within, or is it just a crazed stalker?
You'll never know. Next song.
Yeah. But yeah, this is, what did we say, 1982? This is an older film, and we saw this as part of Belmont's Halloween.
Yes.
Because they were showing a collection of horror films. Yes. And we always recommend you to go down to the Belmont and see what they're showing and go in, because every now and again they do show these one-off special screenings. And out of the horror films that they were showing, this is the one that I wanted to see the most. And while I wouldn't say that it was the best movie that they had available, I had a lot of fun with this film.
I think you had more fun than I did.
I did. I had a lot of fun with this film. We've already stated in the past that I like horror more so than you.
Yes.
But I can really forgive a lot of errors and it's not even bad filmmaking, but signs of wear and tear within time as films have went on, in horror films specifically. And I don't know why I can forgive horror films and not anything else. But this is a prime example.
Because you're biased. Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry, that just slipped out. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Sorry. I love you.
But this is a prime example of that, because this film has a lot of wear and tear.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Do you want to get into that?
Because
you've got strong opinions on that.
I'll go for the elephant in the room in my eyes.
Go for it.
The ADR in this film is absolutely horrendous, and there's no need for it. That's right. So, obviously, Dario Argento was an Italian filmmaker.
Yes.
And Tenebre is presented as an Italian-made film.
Yes.
Produced in Italy, made in Italy, starring Italian actors and actresses, right?
Most, yes.
Most of them, right? The entire film is in English.
Yeah. And
yet the entire film is also done in ADR. Everything, every line, every word spoken by every character is done in ADR. And it's not just ADR.
Even the English actors.
Even the
ADR.
English actors are done through ADR.
There's one scene which is unforgivable, which is John Saxon walking behind the character of Peter O'Neill. And he's just off the airport and he's carrying his bags and he's telling them of what he's got coming up within the next week. And it's so clearly just out of place.
It's just, and it's funny because you would forgive it if their mouths were not just like completely not matching up because they were speaking Italian. Everybody is speaking English. There's not a moment where I think anybody's actually speaking Italian and they've ADR'd English. I genuinely think everybody's just speaking English. But for some reason, the entire film is done in ADR very badly. It's not even that. The sound design in general is pretty rough at points too.
Yeah.
There are scenes that are just dead quiet because nothing is happening or they've just forgotten to put in footsteps. I don't think the Foley is very good within this film. It's just, and the ADR just takes you completely out of it. There are portions of this film that I just find unabashedly boring. I'm sorry to say, but like I was half asleep during probably the second half of this film leading up to the end.
Yes.
Because it feels like at some points they just go around in circles.
Yeah.
And they're just adding length for the sake of adding length.
Mm-hmm.
This film could be a good half hour shorter than it is. And it's very long in the tooth at portions. I also find it oddly inconsistent with its horror and gore. For example, a majority of the film is very tame with what it's like showing. Maybe for 1982, sure, that's quite extreme. But
I think that's an aspect that we have to regard.
I suppose, yeah.
Because with the time that this was released, this was definitely quite very graphic. I actually think it was banned in the UK. It was either the UK or the US. It was banned, and it only became unbanned, basically, I think in 1999.
Whoa.
So it was like 15 odd years of not getting a release because of violence. And watching it now, you wouldn't think that necessarily.
No,
but that is showing a product of the time.
With Tenebre being an older film, I feel it's okay to spoil.
Fair, yes. This is a very old film.
39 years old, I think I can spoil what it talks about.
Yeah.
So the ending for this film, I won't spoil the plot ending in case you are interested, but
the ending's brilliant.
The ending is actually very good. I will give them that completely. It's a good twist, and the story at the end is good, but everything that leads up to that within that middle section is very boring. The second act, in my eyes, is generally very boring, aside from one good scene where a girl gets chased by a dog.
Yes, that is a good scene.
That is a good scene.
I will say, if we're talking about scenes in particular, there's a brilliant one-take camera trickery of showcasing a house and all the different rooms within that house.
Yeah.
And we've recently saw this in Assassination Nation.
We say recently. This was like 4 years ago.
4 years, yeah. It's still quite recent in memory. But there's a brilliant shot. That's the only good scene in Assassination Nation.
Yeah.
But having watched this now and really seeing that probably most likely Assassination Nation was inspired by Tenebre.
Yeah.
It just is much better in this film here.
Mm-hmm.
And also, for like we said, the time period this was set in and the difficulties of how they can do one of those shots anyway, it's really impressive.
It is very impressive. This film is oddly nude. There were many naked women
That's
presented throughout this film. Yeah. And, maybe that's just Italy. They always say that the Europeans do it a bit different. But, I mean, personally...
You were taken aback.
I was taken aback. Three different women, all naked, within a very short period of time. And then we saw The French Dispatch, which had Léa Seydoux was not exactly fully clothed in some portions of that film. Now there was Tilda Swinton in one scene. And then, of course, that night we went home and we watched It Follows. Once again, many nude women within that film. Personally, I had to go to church that day because I had sinned too much.
It was Sunday, after all.
It was a sinful day. Yeah. And we should hang our heads in shame, for God looks down upon us for what we've done. Anyway.
But yeah, well, Dario Argento really did do a lot for the giallo subgenre of horror.
For those uninitiated, please explain giallo horrors.
Giallo horrors are basically the film equivalent of what Tenebre is. It's a paperback novel that you would get at an airport that is crime, thriller, horror, trash. Not supposed to be high art, not supposed to be anything other than just something you read on an airplane while you're trying to get through. And normally it's very bloody, very gory, maybe erotic, and then at the end there's multiple twists. It's just a subgenre of horror that is like crime thriller and very bloody.
I see.
And I would even say that Edgar Wright, especially for the ending of Last Night in Soho, is inspired by these kind of films.
I would think so.
I think there is quite heavy inspirations.
I would think so.
But yeah, I can't remember what you were saying before I interrupted you.
Yeah, you just interrupted me and got me completely off my train of thought, and you hate me, and you're ruining the show. I'm joking. Yeah, I can't really remember what I was saying either. I didn't like the ADR. It was so. The film is pretty much tame with its violence throughout. Yes. You'll get a couple stabbings, and you'll see the stabbings happening, and you'll get the usual blood spurts. The ending of this film in the final scene, pretty gory. A woman gets her whole arm chopped off, and then when she turns to face a wall, an entire blood spray covers the wall completely. And it's whoa, where did it catches you so off guard because you're still what's going on? Mm-hmm. And then later on, another character gets impaled by a statue, which I think is quite funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the film, I mean, it's like, I get liking it. I understand that. I was just bored, man.
Yeah.
I just didn't really get that much out of it. Maybe I was just tired, which I do think is part of it. But man, I was just bored.
I do like. I did have a lot of fun with this. I do recognize everything that you're saying, and I'm not even going to put that up to a sign of the time, because the ADR in the film is incredibly noticeable. And even though, like, for instance, also a John Saxon film, we've got Enter the Dragon, which is like Bruce Lee martial arts, but a lot of that is ADR as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily seem as noticeable. And yeah, I will agree with you in that sense.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, if it sounds like your kind of thing, you can watch it. It's available.
Oh, it'll be everywhere.
It's absolutely everywhere.